Today I'm sharing all about one of my favorite craft supplies, gesso. What is it and why do I use it in my crafting? So in case you haven't heard of gesso before, gesso is a primer. Artists use it to prep their surfaces, such as a canvas, to prepare the surface to accept paint. Now I like to use it on things such as glossy ceramic vases, on plastic surfaces, anything that's got a high shine or something that paint doesn't stick to very well, especially craft paint, because craft paint can be very, very flaky and does not have the best adhesion to some surfaces. So to get the surfaces ready, such as this vase, I'll apply 1 to 2 coats and then it's all ready to go to accept paint. Now this particular vase, I am applying some chalk paint, and typically chalk paint sticks to surfaces really well, but I wanted this to really stick. And also I didn't want to use a ton of chalk paint because chalk paint, let's just face it, it's really expensive. So if I give a coat of like 1 or 2 coats of my gesso onto a surface, I don't have to use as much of my expensive paints either. So this was a really fun piece that I had made. It was a mushroom where I combined this ceramic vase and wood bowl together. I'm going to have the original video for you listed down in the video description box so you can check that out. I love how it turned out, and being able to have something such as gesso all ready to go for me to use to prep my surfaces works really well. There are several different brands of gesso that you can use. This particular one I got from my local dollar store here in Canada called Dollarama, but you can get some from dollar stores. There's a brand called DecoArt, Liquitex, Golden, and my all-time favorite is actually Artist Loft. They come in lots of different textures, so they can be very gritty or nice and smooth. I typically like the ones that are nice and smooth because then it just prepares the surface. You don't see any texture coming up through your craft paint because, again, craft paint is very thin and does not provide the best coverage all the time. So if I had streaky paintbrush strokes, you're going to see that coming up. So I like to use smooth gessos, and to tell you the truth, I find that the cheaper the gesso is, the smoother consistency it is. So if you're wanting something that's got really good high quality, then definitely go with something like Liquitex or with Golden. Those are artist quality, but if you're just using it for crafts, then I suggest just using the Artist Loft brand such as I use. So I prepped a wood jewelry box, and you could see it was really dark, and I used 1 coat of gesso all over it. Some spots I think I might have used 2 coats. I can't remember exactly, but now I'm just getting my craft paint all ready to go, and then I'm going to cover the jewelry box up with that paint. And you're not going to see that dark stain or dark wood coming through the craft paint. I also find that sometimes those stains can leach through your layers of paint, so the gesso helps to stop that from happening. So a piece like this, I would probably typically use at least 3, probably 4 to 5 coats of craft paint to cover it all up. But this time around, I only needed to use 2 layers. Sometimes I only need to use 1 layer of my craft paint over top of the gesso. Now, if you don't have any gesso, you could try using some household primer if that's what you've got on hand. This is just something that you're just going to have to test and experiment with. Another thing with gesso is that it really provides really good grip, provides a good tooth for the paint to adhere to. So here I was sanding some of it off to create a distressed look, and it did not sand off very easily. I had to put some muscle behind it to get that paint off, but it works in the long run. It's not going to chip off as easily. And then I always typically like to go over things just with a coat of some varnish just to help finish my piece off, and you can see how well that works. Again, I'm going to have the video for this particular piece linked down in the description box as well. This has got to be one of my all-time favorite projects that I have made. So the other thing about gesso is that it comes in different colors. This one is white, but it also comes in black. This is one I found at my local dollar store. It's the DecoArt brand. You can also get it in clear, which is really fun. This is the Liquitex brand. It does have a bit more grit to it. So I'm going to show you how I use gesso on plastic. So this is just a little church that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I'm going to be using my Dollarama gesso that I picked up. Again, it's a nice and smooth consistency. And I am going to give, again, 1 to 2 coats over the entire surface of this church. Again, I find that it just really helps to prepare the surface for craft paint to be applied. And the other thing too is, like I had mentioned before, how stain can leach through. Well, the colors from plastics can leach through as well. So this is, again, another project that I've got here on my channel. I'm going to have it linked down below so you can see the entire tutorial. But the paint is going on so nicely onto the surface of this plastic church building. I gave about 1 to 2 coats of my craft paint and it sealed it up really well. I have done another tutorial recently where I used some spray paint, and I'm telling you, it did not seal it up as well as the gesso did. I really prefer to gesso all my plastics first before I apply my craft paint. I find it just really helps to give that base for our craft paints. So this is one I had tried spray painting. I applied 2 to 3 coats of spray paint. You can still see the colors coming through. It just is not as effective as the gesso. So here's this village set that I had created. Again, the video will be linked down below. I love how these ones turned out. That being said, I am happy with the spray painted one as well, but I just find that this is so much more effective. So I picked up these cute little trailer ornaments from Dollar Tree a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if they still have them or not, but I'm going to put this gesso to the test. So again, I'm using my Artist Loft. It's my favorite one to use. It's nice and smooth. And I'm going to give the trailer about 2 coats. I believe it was 2 coats. So that red you see right there that I'm covering up, I tried going over it with just straight up chalk paint, and it kept leaching through all the layers of chalk paint. I had originally tried 2 layers and it was showing up pink through all the layers of chalk paint. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it with gesso. And as you can see, that color's not coming through. It sealed it all off. And now I'm going in and applying the chalk paint. It works so well. This was just a cheap plastic that had some weird paint job on it. And I really like how these all turned out. I used them all different kinds of different chalk paint colors. I think they're the cutest ornaments. I still have them. They're still durable. That gesso really helps the paint to hold on to the surface. So I'm so pleased and happy with how well gesso works out. Do you use gesso in your crafting? I'm really curious to know. I would love for you to tell me if you have found this very helpful. I'm going to have all the projects listed down below again for you to check out. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Leave questions below if you have them. We'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.